Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Speculation is growing tonight. The state government is secretly moving to ACT's nation-leading pokey reforms, refusing to release the terms of reference of a review into mandatory pre-commitment cards, despite a demand by the upper house.
Last month alone, Tasmanians lost almost $16 million to pokies, $22,500 every hour. Mandatory pre-commitment cards are supposed to curb this, limiting an individual's loss to $5,000 a year. But the scheme, championed by ousted Deputy Premier Michael Ferguson, is overdue and now under review.
This is a very complex reform, and a reform that, when it comes to harm minimisation, we're committed to and still remain committed to, but we do need to have a very measured approach to it.
The Premier avoiding public calls and a Legislative Council motion to release his instructions to Deloitte, which has been commissioned to investigate the scheme.
Terms of reference, as I understand it, were tabled last night.
But what was tabled last night is a document outlining the accounting firm's plan of attack.
That's not a terms of reference. It's not enough detail. It's not the formal document laying out the government's intent and objective. All that does is confirm for us that there's something dodgy going on here.
The hospitality industry has long held questions about the cost and efficacy of rolling out the cards, which it hopes will be answered by the review.
It should have been done in the first place. And we haven't seen the terms of reference, other than we know. We've been saying for a while is that someone needs to have a look into what impact this is going to have on the industry, how much it's going to cost, etc.
We're not the sort of society that can accept to have the poorest Tasmanians paying for venues that should be able to make their own way themselves.
The scheme would be an Australian first, and it's not just other states watching on with interest, but interstate gaming giants as well. Crossbenchers are concerned the review has only been commissioned to appease the powerful industry with a view to sinking the reforms.
Is it really just a vehicle to derail the card? Or is it actually a genuine attempt to better understand the impact of the pokies card?
Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania has officially become the third state to sign up to the federal government's funding scheme for public schools. Opposition groups and the Education Union have labelled it a dud deal, saying it doesn't go far enough to meet the needs of our state schools.
Tasmania's public schools have been grappling with funding shortfalls and declining student results. The state government today putting pen to paper on the Better, Fairer Schools agreement to keep them from falling behind.
We want to see our children finishing Year 12, continuing with their education, perhaps through a vet course, and we want to see those great outcomes.
The deal will see Tasmania get an extra $153 million from the $16 billion national scheme, which will be put towards literacy and numeracy checks, teaching methods and wellbeing support from next year to 2029.
This is not a blank cheque. We're going to invest this money in the sort of things that help children who fall behind at school to catch up and to keep up.
But the Education Union isn't sold, claiming some of the money isn't going towards learning needs.
There's a 4% loophole that means our students are missing out on about $1,000 each for funding that they require. 5
other states and territories refusing to step on board, claiming their public schools need more. The Greens also say it's a dud deal.
We think it was a bad deal for Tasmanians, and we think that the Minister jumped too early and she should have held on for longer.
If a different deal is negotiated with another state, we have confirmation that the Commonwealth Government will honour that deal for us.
Labor questioning if the Rockcliffe government can fulfil its end of the agreement to invest a further $195 million into the sector.
How is the government going to fund their contribution to this deal? Because they need to find 2.5%. It's not budgeted for. We know the budget is in dire straits.
Tasmania's Education Minister says they can.
This is a time when we can be considering reform.
Anthony Dodd, 7 Tasmania News.
The Premier has defended TT Line's decision to temporarily berth one of the new Spirit of Tasmania ferries in Scotland. Jeremy Rockcliffe has come under fire from Labor, who says the vessel should be kept in the state.
Why is the Tasmanian taxpayer having to now pay for storage when we have our own ports here where they can be stored for nothing?
Also claiming it will help keep the ferry out of Finland's incoming winter weather while being closer to potential brokers who might lease it.
the spirits arriving here is a cost in terms of fuel, and also with Scotland it's better accessibility in terms of leasing options.
Mr Rockcliffe insists the $100 million plan for Tasmanian contractors to fit out the new vessel hasn't gone under, despite being docked overseas. The number of Tasmanians requiring social housing is growing, but their needs largely aren't being met, according to new data from Anglicare. Since July, its Housing Connect service has received more than 12,500 inquiries for support and helped just over 1,500 new social housing applications. But the shortfall in housing supply is increasing, along with average wait times. Anglicare is now calling for more investment in long-term social housing to meet demand. Before the location of the Tasmanian Devils High Performance Centre is even decided, the contract to lead its design appears to have been awarded. The $2.4 million tender given to global architecture giant Populous, which is the company behind the famous Las Vegas Sphere. The company, based in the United States but with an office in Brisbane, is also behind the Brisbane Lions training facility at Brighton Homes Arena. It also led the redevelopment of the Western Bulldogs Whitten Oval. It beat 10 bids, including 2 from Tasmanian businesses. A newly established East Coast venue is being honoured for its efforts. Easy Tiger Boutique Cinema and Brewery in St Helens has 9 nominations at tonight's Tasmanian Hospitality Awards, the annual event celebrating the state's best venues, events and tourism providers.
Fairly new business, but we are a business that's doing a lot, so yeah, humbling.
The recognition a major coup for our regional areas.
The regional areas of Tasmania, as we know, with tourism numbers and stuff down, so Easy Tiger's added to that flavour up on the East Coast.
Over 600 entries were submitted for judging. Local protesters are among thousands nationwide demanding Woolworths stop selling Tasmanian farmed salmon. Activists say the industry is toxic and pushing the Maugean skate to extinction.
A sea of salmon protesters swarming Woolworths.
Stop selling toxic salmon!
Calling for the supermarket giant to stop selling Tasmanian farmed salmon in Macquarie Harbour.
Customers from Woolworths need to know that if they're buying salmon from Tasmania's waters, they are contributing to the extinction of the Maugean skate.
Save the Maugean skate!
It is polluting Macquarie Harbour, a third of which is World Heritage. But particularly what it's doing is it's sucking the oxygen out of the harbour.
Today's action comes after a decision to increase a threatened species listing of the Maugean skate from endangered to critically endangered would be delayed by a year, with the future of the industry hanging in the balance.
This sort of delay by the Scientific Committee, but particularly by the Minister, Tanya Plibersek, really condemns us towards watching the Maugean skate go slowly or even rapidly into extinction.
The Premier adamant the Maugean skate and the salmon industry can coexist.
Can have a sustainable salmon industry and the decision should have been made to ensure that the salmon industry can continue.
Saying it's crucial for job security.
An iconic and important industry in Tasmania, employing many thousands of Tasmanians.
Nationwide protests are expected to continue tomorrow ahead of Woolworths AGM, where shareholders will vote on a resolution to cease procuring salmon from the farms. But much like fishing, it seems to be a waiting game for now. Rebecca Gaidaneris, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian youth charity formerly known as Colony 47 has entered a new chapter. The organisation, which provides essential services to vulnerable young people, has unveiled its new name, Homebase, claiming it reflects what the organisation stands for.
A lot of the young people that come to us say things like, all I wanted was a home and parents to love me. And so it's quite an emotional name as well.
It's the first time the name has been changed since its establishment 50 years ago. Well, more cost of living relief is set to be available for vulnerable Tasmanians. The state government launching its 2024-25 concessions and discounts guide, providing markdowns on health, housing, electricity and transport services. The initiative is aimed at supporting families on fixed incomes and veterans.
So important that we support our RSLs and our returned servicemen and women.
Just every dollar that we can help our Tasmanians who are most in need, assist them to address the cost of living pressures that they are currently facing.
$460 million in concessions and discounts will be offered through the guide. A comprehensive risk assessment has found no evidence of harm caused by lead dust from a Rochely metal recycling facility. Recycal's metal shredder was shut down in February after elevated levels of lead were found in the area late last year. Air and soil testing have not found concentrations of the heavy metal which present a problem to community health. Dust control measures at the Recycal site remain in place. There's a push to make northern Tasmania a destination of choice for business conferences. A key industry group believes the region is perfectly placed to host smaller functions and is keen to showcase its potential to a global audience.
Showcasing the best Northern Tasmania has to offer for national and international business functions. It's an industry injecting close to $200 million into the state's economy annually, but Business Events Tasmania wants to grow that figure to $300 million. With 52,000 delegates travelling to the Apple Isle from around the country each year for such functions.
Currently, northern Tasmania accounts for about 10% of the delegates that are coming in each year. The north and the northwest of the state, though, are niche markets, so they do cater for smaller events.
Joseph Cromie on the list of suitable locations in the north being scouted by the group this afternoon, with the state government also keen to see the market grow.
We're adding an additional $1.2 million to Business Events Tasmania to get even more events here because business events are vital to our economy.
There's also a focus on attracting niche events during the low season.
So we do get a lot of summer, delegates coming in. So we're really looking at, extending that through our winter.
It's a great way for me and my colleagues, I suppose, to see what's new in a destination, a good reminder of what is on offer for our delegates.
Along with an appetite to entice more international delegates down under.
Next year we'll be hosting 2 international for meals, so they will showcase to international event planners.
Melinda Ogden, 7 Tasmania News.
Thousands are expected to head to Deloraine this weekend for the Tasmanian Craft Fair, the largest in the Southern Hemisphere. It's a chance for more than 200 artisans and vendors to showcase their traditional and contemporary art forms.
So gorgeous. Traditional visual art, got blacksmiths there as well. We've got homewares. There'll be plenty of jewellery.
This year I'm hoping just to make a bigger splash and do better than last year and show off more products and more skills.
The event will run for 3 days starting Friday. Unwell children now have a colourful space to relax with a new garden officially opening at the Launceston General Hospital. Attached to the facility's Wombat Ward, the space is designed to give children and their parents a respite and access to fresh air.
Apparently they've been out here already running around having a ball, absolutely loving it. Families sitting out here chatting, exactly what we wanted.
The project made possible by $85,000 in donations from local businesses and groups.
It was drab concrete on the flooring. The auxiliary's done an amazing job in raising the funds to create such a welcoming environment for our families.
The garden has been in the works since 2016. Kia has officially unveiled its new ute in Hobart, dropping the curtain on the Tasman at a star-studded event. Aussie sporting heroes were invited along to try out the much-anticipated release after starring in a series of teaser ads in the lead-up to last night's launch.
I still think it should have been called the Volk, but it was good, man. It was good fun, really good fun.
The Tasman was also launched at the Jeddah International Motor Show in Saudi Arabia, but car lovers will have to wait until later next year for the ute to arrive in Australian showrooms.
Two weeks ago, he was left languishing on the bench until the final minutes, but now Jack Jumpers import Craig Sword is proving himself an invaluable asset to the team.
His adjustment to not foul and just use his length and be disruptive on those bigger American guards, especially in the Brisbane game, was particularly impactful. And then obviously he was very pleased to see the ball go in from the three-point line as well. So his energy off the bench is going to be important.
The Jackies play South East Melbourne on Friday night, who sit at the bottom of the NBL ladder. Not that that's any cause for optimism of a second straight win for Tasmania.
In the NBL, anyone can beat anybody. The seeding, the ladder, it doesn't really matter. Anyone can beat anybody. So you just got to come ready to play. They got a new coach. They're going to come with different energy.
They'll be running out at the Silver Dome in a special retro outfit inspired by Launceston Casino City, the short-lived club that delivered Tasmania's first NBL championship back in 1981. And Majuk says he's a fan of the shorts. Despite a comprehensive victory over the Thunder this week, Hurricanes all-rounder Heather Graham, who herself took 3 scalps, believes there's still room for improvement before they face Sydney again tomorrow night.
We probably fell away a little bit once we lost, I guess, the likes of Nick Carey and Danny White-Hodge. So I think for us to be able to continue to build on that momentum, I think, to be fair, we were pretty clinical with the ball. Still a few areas, obviously, to tidy up on a little bit.
Even though she didn't get to play this time, Graham says her late call-up to the T20 World Cup squad was a good learning experience. And there's plenty of talk in the US at the moment about Northwest Tasmanian basketballer Jacob Furphy, who's heading to college. He was reportedly being wooed by 2 schools, in the end deciding to join the University of Connecticut, whose Huskies are back-to-back NCAA champions. Yeah, Kim, if you've got a choice, you may as well go with the best.
Yeah, how good is that? Thank you, Nick. Well, Murph will bring us the weather report after the break.
Good evening. Hobart just 15 degrees today, 5 degrees warmer than that in Launceston and Devonport, 19 today in Burnie. St Helens 19 as well, Friendly Beaches 18, Low Head a top of 17, a mixture of 15s and 16s elsewhere. The sunniest weather was over the north and east as widespread low cloud clung to the west and south of the state. Afternoon convective cloud popped up over the mainland with the exception of the central regions where some thunderstorm activity occurred, as it did also over the top end and the northeastern part of New South Wales. Tomorrow the high should be centred over the Bight and a cold front will push over Tasmania. A trough stretches from the WA coast through to Western Queensland. Winds will tend west-southwesterly as the front crosses, reaching 30 knots at times over most waters. We have a strong wind warning for some of those waters from Sandy Cape to St Helens Point and from Tasman Island around to Low Rocky Point. A warning to sheep graziers too in the southeast due to the showers and colder southwesterly winds. Hobart tomorrow a top of 15 with showers easing, 14 for Cygnet, New Norfolk 15 degrees. Launceston a high of 20 with a shower or 2, 19 for Devonport, a shower for Campbelltown as well and 16 the maximum. Partly cloudy in Burnie, 17 also for Smithton, showers easing later from Strawn, 14 the maximum there. And for the east, a shower or 2, St Helens 19, 18 for Swansea, Fingal a top of 17. On Friday, a few showers over the west and northeast, clearing in the evening, maybe some small hail over the west as well. Some patchy inland frost on Saturday, followed by a fine partly cloudy day. Hobart expecting 22. And on Sunday, the showers back, extending across the state from the west during the morning. A sunny warm day in Perth tomorrow, fine in Adelaide, a shower or 2 and 19 in Melbourne. Showers increasing over Sydney, 25 the top. Brisbane 31, a possible shower there.